So we're here today with Emma here in County Westmeath. Emma, thank you for having us here today.
You're very welcome.
Emma, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and the farm that's here?
Yeah, so I'm 24 years old and I live locally here in County Westmeath, or just outside Mullingar, and I'm the farm manager here in Stokestown Dairies. I'm from beef and sheep background myself. I would have no dairy experience up until maybe 18 or 19. I started to take interest when I was finished in secondary school doing ag science and things. I started to actually consider it as a career. I suppose there wouldn't have been many women managing farms or really farming in their own right at the time, as far as I could see. Despite the fact that women were always kind of the backbone of agriculture to many people. So then so I actually went to study horticulture initially in Waterford IT. I was working for a landscaper locally since I was 15 or 16, and I had interest in that, but I suppose I filled out the CAO in a hurry and I wasn't really sure what order I wanted things, so I didn't get offered ag, so I did horticulture and I ended up hating that, so I went back to the drawing board then and went back to do ag down in Waterford, and we linked up with Kildalton Agri College, and I loved that, so I did 3 years of that course before I qualified. And then in the meantime I kind of just started milking locally for people, and I suppose just trying to find my way into the dairy sector. Like, I had no previous knowledge, I had no idea of how dairy farms were run, so I really just threw myself into it, and I suppose got encouraged by the right people, and that kind of pushed me on to do more. So I did my placement in Scotland in the spring of 2018, and that was a very tough spring, but I learned a lifetime of experience during that time, and that influenced me to continue trying to progress in the dairy sector. And then in the summer of 2018 I did a summer in New York, working in the office for a construction company. So that was totally different, but I definitely learned some organisation and admin skills there. Came home then and I did a winter on a pig farm in 2018, and then after that I just fully went into the dairy sector. So yeah, once I finished college then in 2019, I just worked for a local farmer for most of the year, and then then around Christmas 2020 I wanted to change, and I heard of a local farmer setting up with a rotary parlour, large scale farm just up the road. So I got a contact for them, gave them a call, and I'm here ever since, and I've been very happy here. I think you'd learn more in a month on a progressive farm than you would in a year somewhere where you're not happy. So I definitely encourage people to, you know, if you're not happy on a farm, there's so many progressive farmers in Ireland today. The sector is constantly moving, and there's so many great farmers to work for and with, and I think it's a great sector. So yeah, I've been here since early January 2020, so now I'm about a year and a half in, and I've moved up to become the farm manager, and that comes with its own challenges too. Everyone here is working for the same goals, we're all learning, and nobody is ever an expert, and I think when you know that, and you know that there's so much more to learn, that's probably half the battle. So we're always discussing, you know, what way we can, and how we can change, better farmers, more efficient, and more successful, I suppose. So then yeah, I do a bit of farming myself. I recently leased a farm local to me at home, so I'm rearing surplus dairy heifers, and I rear a couple of beef heifers every year as well. And last year I reared a bunch of vasectomized bulls to sell back to the company here for heat detection, to work alongside our Mucol heat system. So I suppose I've just been doing small bits just to get myself in the door, and just making my way up the ladder, I suppose. But yeah, I suppose I do think about going milking myself, but I definitely think it's important to know that there's no great panic to do so. As long as you're learning wherever you're working, I think that's the that's the most important thing. If you're happy and you're learning, especially on a large scale farm like this with 400 cows, you know, do a couple of seasons on a farm like that, and you know, you'll nearly learn every possible occurrence that could happen. Whereas if you stick to your own comfort zone and stay at home doing what you've always done, you know, you might never broaden your horizon or know what's possible to do.
Emma, can you just tell us a bit about the farm and just the background of the farm?
Yeah, so the farm is just outside Mullingar here. We're milking 400 cows. It's a predominantly crossbred herd, so lots of Jersey throughout the herd. We're spring calving and all grass based as well.
Very good. So can you just tell us a small bit about the current herd performance here, Emma?
Yeah, so cows peaked probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. They started to peak. They peaked litres wise around 26.5, which we were fairly happy with. It was up from about 22, little over 22 last year. Most of the cows are only in their second lactation, so we're pretty happy with how they're milking. The butter fat then is about 4.2, 4.25, with protein just under 3.7. And cell count is in the 50s there at the moment. We have it fairly under control. Would have dipped up and down earlier in spring, and we've got it fairly under control now.
Very good. So Emma, I suppose with a large scale herd, I suppose there's a lot of organisation in running the herd smoothly. So what organisation tools would you use on the farm?
Yeah, so probably herd app being the main one, the AgriNet herd app for day-to-day management and planning jobs. And then I suppose within the farm team we do like to use whiteboards.
Okay.
So like this one here is just for feeding calves, so you have just the group and then what consistency or you know the rates given when they're fed and how many's in the group, and we can just change them. So if I am off tomorrow or somebody needs to take time off unexpectedly, anybody can step in and cover for that person. So yeah, we'd have those, and then one for maybe the grazing plan for the week and map of the farm, so anybody can kind of fill in for anyone else's shoes. So I suppose things like whiteboards do make it easy to to organise what you're doing and plan for the week. So I find if you don't plan the week, like Monday you're kind of chasing your tail after the weekend, and then next thing you know you're halfway through the week and you don't really have any plan, and different things keep cropping up. But if we kind of have a few jobs set out at the weekend, I try to think about what needs to be done next week.
Would you have like team meetings or something each week, Emma, or? Yeah,
I suppose in the springtime we'd be meeting fairly frequently because everyone's in nearly every day. And then we have a WhatsApp group, so I suppose coming into the summertime when hours are kind of starting to decrease a bit and everyone has a bit more time, the WhatsApp group can be very handy. Like if I took the weekend off, I can see what's on this week or whatever, I know what time to be in at. If we're scanning or metro checking or whatever it might be. So yeah, we have a main WhatsApp group just for the whole farm, Stokestown Dairies, and everyone's in that. And then we also actually have one for the breeding season. Right, so that's just for heat. So you could mute that, but it's just a very handy tool. When we're here, you could be anywhere. You mightn't have you mightn't have a pen and paper with you. You just jot them down into the WhatsApp, and then when you get back to the farm you can pop them into the drafter for evening or whatever. Or if I'm out checking, I might see cows that you've already put in, so I don't need to put those in. And you kind of have an idea of how many you have then for that evening to just let the AI man know how many's on. I think that's the main thing.
Very
so I suppose WhatsApp and whiteboards all comes back to communication. I think that's probably definitely up there with the most important principle on the farm of this size, and even I think smaller farms too. I suppose family-run farms, you're in the house every day for tea or whatever, you find yourself chatting without it even being a formal meeting, whereas on a large-scale team we do need to make the effort to use whatever means of communication we have, whether it's WhatsApp or a meeting after our breakfast time, just so everybody knows what's on, or having the roster up on a whiteboard so anyone can fill out their days off, or we can see who's in, or whatever day we have 3 or 4 people in, we can plan to do extra jobs, maybe clipping tails or replacing missing tags or whatever it might be.
Very good.